Drake May is now the MVP favorite. Arabia, do you like this for him? Do you agree with this?
I personally like a Matthew Stafford over a Drake May. I personally like a Jonathan Taylor over a Drake May, but I get it. He has been performing well. He is the first quarterback since Tom Brady. You know, the Patriots are on an 8-game winning streak. 8 games. And that he's the first since Tom Brady to do that in franchise history. So I think he's in good company. His touchdown to interception ratio is good. He's been playing well, performing well.
Week 11 finally arrives and suddenly the whole NFL flipped upside down. The entire league felt like it hit a reset button. And everything people thought they knew about contenders, pretenders, and MVP favorites just went up in smoke. And the one storyline everybody kept circling back to was the rise of the Patriots, a team everyone thought was cooked after the dynasty era, a team everyone assumed would fade into mediocrity, suddenly standing at 9-2, staring down the whole conference like they never left. And every time somebody asked, "Is it time to take the Patriots seriously?" the answer kept getting louder. Even Arabia couldn't deny it. She broke it down perfectly. Every roster in the NFL is made of professionals. But the Patriots aren't just another team anymore. They're turning into the team people hate to see coming. They're healthier, they're confident. And Drake May is out there performing at a level nobody expected this early. The Patriots went from maybe they'll be decent to oh god, they might be ahead of schedule. And while Arabia mentioned Justin Fields and the Jets as her biggest concern, the contrast only made New England look stronger. Justin Fields looked lost, defeated, drowning in inconsistency, while Drake May was stringing together an 8-game streak the franchise hasn't seen since Tom Brady. That's why the MVP conversation exploded. Suddenly the media pushed Drake May as the MVP favorite. But Arabia wasn't having it. She didn't care what the sportsbook said or who was trending online. To her, guys like Matthew Stafford and Jonathan Taylor were more deserving, veteran names, proven names, players who look like MVPs even when their teams aren't perfect. And honestly, she made her case. But the numbers don't lie. Drake May is efficient, protected, poised, and pulling off something Tom Brady himself didn't do as a rookie. The Patriots have a run game that's helping him. They have a left tackle who's giving him clean pockets. It's the perfect storm for a young MVP candidate. But then Mase took the conversation somewhere else entirely. He didn't just talk stats, he talked presence. He talked impact. To him, Drake May's numbers were screaming MVP. And he didn't hold back about how the Patriots expected to be good, even when the rest of the league wrote them off. But Cam stepped in like only Cam can. He connected the whole thing back to the Patriots' legacy, the clean-cut years, the dynasty years, the Tom Brady family man image, the Bill Belichick grind, the Robert Kraft storyline. That era made New England America's team more than Dallas ever could. And for Cam, the MVP narrative comes down to one thing: winning. And right now, New England is winning. But then the conversation shifted to teams no one expected to be in the mix, like Seattle, like the Rams, like the Bears, surprisingly clawing for their spot. The league is strange this year. The energy is different. Teams that were jokes 2 seasons ago suddenly look dangerous. Teams that were feared 3 seasons ago suddenly look fragile. Which brings us to the Bills, and the Bills needed this conversation more than anyone. When Arabia said the Bills needed the upcoming game more than Tampa Bay, she wasn't joking. The Bills aren't used to being in second place. They aren't used to watching another team in their division run away with the lead. The Patriots sitting at 9-2 created a kind of panic the Bills fanbase hasn't felt in years. Suddenly every game feels like a playoff game. Suddenly one loss means falling into wildcard territory. Suddenly one mistake might cost them their entire season. And even though the Patriots' rise shocked people, the story of the Bills was even more uncharacteristic. This is a team built to win the AFC East every year. Yet now they're staring at an uphill battle. That's why Cam kept saying this game is way more important for the Bills. Because the Bills don't have a weak division. The Buccaneers do. The Bills can't afford to drop games while the Patriots keep stacking wins. This is desperation season. But that wasn't even the wildest part of the episode. Because the moment the conversation turned to A.J. Brown, the energy changed completely. It went from football talk to psychology talk. It went from stats to emotions. Because A.J. Brown is one of the greatest receivers in the league. But he's miserable. Miserable enough to go on Twitch and tell fans, if you got me in fantasy, get rid of me. Miserable enough to say the only highlights he's seeing this year are on Madden. Miserable enough to tell the media straight up, I'm not apologizing. And Arabia respected him for standing on his words. But Cam didn't lift a finger to defend it. To Cam, this wasn't honesty. This wasn't transparency. This was selfishness. This was bad energy. This was championship poison. Because the Eagles are winning and A.J. Brown is still complaining. That's why Cam said what he said about Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. Winners who sacrifice ego for rings. Superstars who play their role because the greater good matters. But AJ Brown? He looks frustrated even in victories. He looks annoyed even when the team succeeds. He looks dangerous not to defenses, but to his own locker room. And Week 11 isn't the week to fall apart. Not for the Eagles. Not for the Bills. Not for AJ Brown. Not for anyone, because Week 11 is when the real season begins. Week 11 kept proving that the NFL doesn't care about last season. Names, reputations, or highlight reels. It only cares about who can survive the pressure. And the moment conversation shifted to predictions, that pressure showed up everywhere. The first big matchup was the Lions versus the Eagles. A game that sounded innocent on paper but carried every bit of revenge, trauma, and desperation hidden underneath the surface. Arabia pointed out something nobody else really remembered. Under Dan Campbell, the Lions still hadn't beaten the Eagles. Not once. It didn't matter how much Detroit improved, how much grit they preached, how many inspirational speeches Dan Campbell threw into the universe. The Eagles had their number every single time, and Arabia didn't hesitate. She went Eagles again. She trusted the numbers. She trusted the red zone dominance. She trusted the fact that when the Eagles get inside the 20-yard line, they turn into a machine with an 81% touchdown rate. That's not luck, that's identity. That's culture. That's execution. And against a Detroit team that still struggles with consistency, those small advantages matter. But Mase had his own reasons. He wasn't picking the Eagles just because of stats. He picked them because of the Cowboys. Because somehow, every year, the Eagles beating the Cowboys tells him more about Philadelphia than beating any other team in the league. And to him, their rivalry would seal the deal. The Eagles were headed for something bigger. But then Cam came in with the curveball. He chose the Lions, not because they're better on paper, not because their record is stronger, but because they're desperate. The Lions don't want another year slipping away while the Bears lurk behind them in the standings. The Lions don't want to fall back into the old identity, the punchline identity. Cam said what nobody else wanted to. The NFC North is unpredictable, and the Lions haven't earned enough benefit of the doubt to relax. They need to win more than the Eagles do. And when a team plays desperate, anything can happen. And then came the verbal chess match between Arabia and Cam. What he meant, what she interpreted, who misheard and who was clarifying what. A perfect example of the tension this NFL season keeps creating. Every team is on edge, every fan base is on edge, and even the analysts feel it. You could see it in Arabia's eyes. You could hear it in Cam's tone. Every sentence mattered. Every word felt like it belonged to a bigger war. It's not just football, it's personal. But the real pressure point of Week 11 showed up when the conversation shifted to the Rams versus Seahawks. A game that nobody expected to mean so much this late into the season. Both teams 7-2. Both teams playing like they belong in January. And neither team had trailed in a game for weeks. That's the kind of stat that lets you know both rosters are locked in mentally. Arabia leaned Rams, and she leaned Rams with conviction. She believes in Sean McVay. She believes in Matthew Stafford. She believes in the explosive offense that's been reborn with Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, and the rest of that young, fast group. She believes the Seahawks secondary would struggle against a team that finds mismatches everywhere. And the cherry on top was Cooper Kupp returning to Sophie for the tribute. Emotion matters in sports. Pride matters. Legacy matters. Pride matters. Legacy matters. Mase agreed. He didn't love choosing against the Seahawks, but he trusted the Rams more. And then Cam turned into a storyteller, breaking down the emotions behind Cooper Kupp's career. The pain of Puka Nacua taking his place. The reality that the NFL doesn't honor yesterday's accomplishments. Cam said it best, you're not as good as yesterday in this league. The Rams moved on fast, but they still respected Cooper Kupp enough to honor him. And Week 11 made that reunion even more powerful. But nothing created more chaos than the conversation around the Chiefs versus Broncos. Because this wasn't just a game, this was about identity. This was about legacy. This was about whether the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, or whether that window is cracking earlier than expected. When Arabia said she didn't see the Chiefs winning the division, you could feel the room inhale. It wasn't an insult, it was honesty. The Broncos' defense is strong. Their front forgets pressure without blitzing. They don't need tricks to create chaos. But the Chiefs have something the Broncos don't, championship DNA. And Arabia said it clearly, when December comes, teams like Kansas City start separating. They may struggle early, but they close strong. That's why she still leaned Chiefs. Mase, though? He didn't even hide his agenda. He begged the referees to join the fight. He joked about Taylor Swift disappearing. He wanted the championship luck back. Because even if he doesn't admit it loudly, he knows Kansas City doesn't look like the old Kansas City. And Cam? Cam wasn't buying the Broncos hype at all. To him, Bo Nix doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. He looks like a game manager on training wheels. And Denver booing him at home told him everything he needed to know. If your own stadium can't stand you, the league isn't standing behind you either. And after all this football chaos, everything looped back to AJ Brown because no storyline captured Week 11's energy the way his did. Arabia defended him. Mase tried to balance it. Cam slammed it as selfish. But one thing became crystal clear: AJ Brown isn't just frustrated. AJ Brown isn't just joking. AJ Brown isn't just being honest. AJ Brown is sending a warning. And Week 11 showed everything around him: MVP races, power rankings, unexpected contenders. Fading dynasties can survive drama, but locker room fractures? They kill seasons. The Eagles are winning. But AJ Brown is boiling. And in Week 11, that matters more than anything.